The town threw a birthday party for me, but I've never been here before. The road into Clearwater wasn't on any map I could find. I hadn't planned to stop there. My GPS had rerouted twice because of construction, and by the time the last detour sign disappeared, I was somewhere deep in the mountains, the kind of place where pine trees pressed close to the road and the radio only played static. Then the fog came. One moment the road was clear, the next my headlights cut through a wall of white. I slowed down, peering over the steering wheel. That was when I saw the sign. Welcome to Clearwater, population 1932, home of the kind-hearted. A banner hung beneath it, freshly painted. Happy birthday, James. My name. At first I thought it was a coincidence. Maybe another James lived here, someone important enough for the town to celebrate. But as I drove through the main street, every storefront, every lamppost, every window was decorated with streamers and balloons, all in shades of blue and silver, my favorite colors. Banners stretched between buildings. Happy 32nd, James! Clearwater loves you! I parked outside a diner that looked like it hadn't changed since the 1950s. The neon sign buzzed faintly, reflecting off the wet pavement. Inside, the smell of coffee and sugar hit me instantly. Every booth was empty, except one. A waitress stood behind the counter, smiling too wide. Her name tag read, Betty. Morning, birthday boy, she said cheerfully, wiping her hands on her apron. My heart skipped. How do you know my name? She looked at me like I'd told a joke she didn't get. Oh, stop it, James. You always were a kidder. I've never been here before. Her smile faltered just a little. Well, you must have forgotten. Happens sometimes. But don't you worry. We've got everything ready for the party. What party? Betty blinked. Your party, silly. The whole town's waiting. I turned toward the window. Outside, people were gathering in the street. Dozens of them, all smiling, waving small flags that said, Happy birthday, James. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. This isn't funny. Betty's face softened. Now, you don't have to be nervous. Everyone's so excited to see you again. Again? Of course, it's been a year. I didn't move. My hands felt numb. A year since what? She looked genuinely surprised. Since the last one, of course. The bell over the door jingled as a man stepped in. He was tall, wearing a sheriff's uniform that looked freshly pressed. Well, look who's finally back, he said, smiling like we were old friends. Happy birthday, James. I think there's been a mistake, I said. I don't live here. He tilted his head. Sure you do. Clearwater's your home. I've never been here before. His smile froze. For a moment, something flickered behind his eyes. Confusion, maybe. Or fear. Then he said softly, Don't say that, son. Not today. They led me outside. The fog had lifted, revealing rows of quaint little buildings, all strung with fairy lights. Children ran past carrying slices of cake. An old brass band played off-key versions of songs I half recognized. Everywhere I looked, people waved and called my name. James! Happy birthday, buddy! So good to have you back! A group of teenagers pulled me toward the center of town where a massive table was set up, covered with food, presents, and a cake that must have been 4 feet wide. The icing read, Welcome home, James. I couldn't breathe. Listen, I said to the sheriff, who hadn't left my side. You've got the wrong person. My name's James Miller. I live in Seattle. I'm just passing through. He stared at me for a long time. Then quietly, That's not possible. Why not? Because you're buried here. The laughter, the music, the chatter, it all faded at once. What did you just say? He looked genuinely sad now. We lost you last year, James. That storm took your car right off the bridge. I took a step back. That's insane. I'm alive. Betty appeared beside him, wringing her hands. Maybe he's confused again, Sheriff. Happens every time. Every time? I whispered. The sheriff nodded. You always forget at first. My vision blurred. The street seemed to tilt, the people swaying like cardboard cutouts in a breeze. I turned and ran. I didn't make it far. Every street curved back into the same square, the same banner, the same smiling faces. It was like running through a looped film reel. No matter which alley I took, I always came out by the diner. And there, waiting in the doorway, was Betty, holding a slice of cake. Come on, birthday boy, she said gently. You don't want to be late. I stopped. My heart hammered against my ribs. What happens if I don't go? Her smile didn't change. but her eyes flickered, glassy, hollow. We can't start the next one. The next what? The next year. I stumbled backward. The fog began to roll in again, thicker now, wrapping around the buildings, swallowing color and light. The sheriff's voice drifted through it, echoing. It's okay, James. Just blow out the candles. You'll wake up right after. The crowd began to sing, off-key, slow, dragging each note like it hurt. Happy birthday to you. The sound warped, voices melting into one long drone. Happy birthday, dear James. The cake glowed in the fog, candles flickering like eyes. Happy birthday to you. I wanted to scream, but when I opened my mouth, no sound came out. Someone placed a hand on my shoulder. Cold. Familiar. I turned. It was me. Or something that looked like me. His skin was pale, lips blue, eyes clouded with the same gray as the fog. He smiled. It's time to come home. The thing wearing my face smiled wider, the corners of its mouth splitting just a little too far. The candles on the cake burned brighter, and the crowd singing slowed until every note dragged like a bell tolling underwater. I stepped back, the fog wrapping around my ankles, thick as cloth. I'm not... My voice caught in my throat. I'm not supposed to be here. The other me tilted his head. You always say that. Then the fog swallowed everything. When I could see again, I was standing in front of the diner. The sign buzzed faintly in the darkness. The street was empty. The tables, the balloons, the people, gone. Only the banner remained, flapping lazily in the wind. Happy birthday, James! The letters looked different now, warped, smeared, like they'd been painted with blood instead of ink. The door to the diner creaked open. Light spilled out, weak and flickering. Hello? My voice echoed. No answer. Inside, the air was thick with that same metallic smell, the one that clung to the fog, the one that had followed me since the bridge. Every stool at the counter was occupied. The people sitting there were motionless, faces turned toward me. Their eyes were open but unfocused, their smiles frozen in place. They weren't breathing. In front of each of them sat a slice of birthday cake. The last stool was empty. My name was written on the plate. The slice of cake in front of it was fresh. Steam rose faintly from the frosting. Sit down, James. I spun around. The sheriff stood in the doorway, his hat shadowing his eyes. I told you, you're not listening. His voice cracked, something between a plea and a command. You have to finish the party. Where is everyone? They're waiting for you. He stepped closer, boots echoing on the tile. You were supposed to go over the bridge. You didn't. My throat went dry. What do you mean I didn't? You stopped halfway. You looked down. You saw us. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small silver lighter. Its surface was engraved with the same words as the sign outside, Home of the Kind-Hearted. He clicked it open, the flame flickering between us. Do you remember now? The room tilted. My vision doubled. The bridge, the storm, the flash of headlights through the rain. Something had moved in the fog that night. A figure on the road. I'd swerved, hit the barrier, but I hadn't fallen. I'd climbed out. Someone had been standing there, watching me through the mist. Me. The sheriff set the lighter down beside the plate. Blow out the candles, son. You'll feel better. I looked back at the empty stool. The slice of cake was still steaming. The smell made me dizzy. What happens if I don't? He hesitated. Then we start over. The lights in the diner flickered, one by one. The fog outside pressed against the windows like hands. You never stay gone long, the sheriff whispered. You always come home. I turned and ran. The door slammed behind me, though I hadn't touched it. The street was different now. Narrower, the buildings taller, leaning inward. Signs hung from the lampposts, each one bearing my name. James Miller, beloved son. Forever in our hearts. Gone too soon. The photographs taped beneath them showed a man in his early 30s, my face, smiling, holding a fishing pole, standing on a dock I'd never seen. Every picture had the same faint fog in the background. I kept walking until I reached the bridge. The water below churned black. There was no railing anymore, just 2 tire marks burned into the pavement, ending abruptly at the edge. Something caught my eye, a bouquet of wilted flowers tied to the guardrail, a candle, half burned, a photo tucked beneath a rock, me again. But not quite. In this picture, my eyes were open, but the pupils were gray, the same color as the fog. the same color as him. Behind the photo, someone had written, "Until he comes home." A sound broke through the silence, faint at first, then clearer. The tune of Happy Birthday, played slowly on a piano somewhere down the river. I turned. The fog moved against the current, rolling toward me like a living thing. I ran across the bridge. Halfway, the air turned solid. My footsteps echoed like I was running inside a tunnel. At the center of the bridge, a light glowed, soft, blue, pulsing. When I reached it, the world changed. I was back in the town square. The people were there again, smiling, clapping. Betty stood at the front with her hands clasped, the sheriff beside her, and in the center of the square, on the long wooden table, sat the cake. The candles burned steady now, 32 of them. The other me waited behind it, just like before, pale, calm, patient. He looked at me with a kind of tired sympathy. "You don't have to fight it anymore, James. I'm not dead." "Then why do you keep coming back?" The crowd began to sing again. "Happy birthday to you." I shouted, "Stop it! Happy birthday to you." My voice was drowned out. "Happy birthday, dear James." The candles flickered, one by one, as if something unseen was breathing on them. "Happy birthday to you." The other me held out the lighter. "Blow them out." The smell of burning sugar filled the air. I leaned over the cake, heart pounding. The flames shimmered, twisting into shapes. Faces, eyes, mouths whispering in the smoke. Then, softly, I whispered back, "I wish I never found this place." And blew. The lights went out. When I opened my eyes, I was sitting in my car. Rain pounded against the windshield. The GPS glowed faintly. Recalculating route. The road ahead was empty. The sign by the side of the road read, "Welcome to Clearwater, population 19932, home of the kind-hearted." No banner, no fog, just silence. I laughed, shaking my head. It was over. Then, from the passenger seat, a voice whispered, calm, familiar. "Happy birthday, James." The lighter clicked open. The flame from the lighter flickered in the corner of my vision. It was small, fragile even, but it filled the car with a soft, trembling glow that turned everything else black. I froze, my breath fogging the windshield. Slowly, I turned my head toward the passenger seat. It was empty. The lighter hovered in midair. For half a second, I thought maybe it was a reflection, a trick of light, until it clicked shut by itself, and a voice, calm as ever, said right beside my ear, "You shouldn't have made a wish." The lighter dropped onto the seat. I grabbed it before it rolled away, my heart slamming against my ribs. It was warm, too warm, as if it had been burning for hours. On its silver casing, the words had changed. Home of the kind-hearted was gone. In its place, crudely scratched into the metal, "Welcome back." I shoved it into the glove compartment and started the engine. The headlights cut through the fog. The road ahead looked endless, gray, wet, and shifting at the edges. I drove until the clock on the dashboard flickered 2:46 a.m. Then the GPS spoke. "Turn right onto Clearwater Avenue." My stomach dropped. "There is no Clearwater Avenue," I muttered. "Not anymore." "Turn right," the GPS repeated, voice breaking with static. I looked out the window. There was a road there now, narrow, unlit. The fog hung low over it like a curtain. I didn't want to, but my hands turned the wheel anyway. The tires crunched over gravel. The trees pressed closer, their branches clawing the edges of the car. The radio turned on by itself. At first, only static, then music, slow, distorted piano. "Happy birthday." I slammed the dial off. Silence. Then, from the back seat, "Dear James." I didn't turn around. The voice was my own. The road ended at the edge of the bridge. The same bridge. But it looked different now. Longer, steeper, the water below black and still. The rain had stopped. The air was too quiet. I got out of the car, the gravel crunching under my shoes. The wind carried the faint smell of candles and burnt sugar. At the center of the bridge, someone stood waiting. I knew that shape even before I saw the face. Me again. Not pale this time. Not a ghost. Just normal, breathing, smiling. He raised a hand in greeting. "Took you long enough. What do you want?" I asked. He stepped closer. "What I've always wanted. To trade places." I backed away. "I don't understand." "You made the wish," he said softly. "You wished you'd never found Clearwater. That's the only way out, James. Someone else has to take your place." "No." He smiled, pitying. "You've been here longer than you think." He reached into his pocket and pulled out the lighter. My lighter. The engraving had changed again. Happy 33rd. I swallowed hard. It's still my 32nd. He looked almost sorry. Not anymore. He flicked the lighter open, the flame trembling between us. Every year you come back. Every year you blow out the candles and forget. You think you're leaving, but you're just starting over. My hands were shaking. That's impossible. He tilted his head. Then why are you still here? The fog rolled in again, swallowing the road. Behind me. The bridge began to hum, low and steady, vibrating through the soles of my feet. He stepped closer, holding the lighter out. You know what you have to do. No, you can't drive away from this. You never do. The air grew hotter. The lighter's flame expanded, stretching into a column of white fire that painted everything in harsh shadows. The reflection in his eyes wasn't me anymore. It was the town, Clearwater, burning, balloons melting, streamers curling into ash. He whispered, "It's your turn to remember." And then he pushed the lighter into my hand. The moment I touched it, everything changed. The bridge cracked beneath my feet. The fog peeled away like smoke, revealing not water below, but a vast emptiness filled with flickering lights, like candles stretching forever in every direction. Each one burned with the same faint hum I'd heard in the town. Voices drifted through the air. Happy birthday, James. Come home, James. It's time to blow them out. I dropped to my knees. Please, I whispered. I don't want this. The other me crouched beside me, his voice gentle. Then let it end. He guided my hand toward the lighter. One last time. The flame flared. The wind died. Every candle below went dark at once. For the first time, silence. Then the bridge vanished. When I opened my eyes, I was lying in a hospital bed. Machines beeped softly around me. A nurse leaned over, smiling with relief. Welcome back, Mr. Miller, she said. You gave us a scare. I blinked, throat dry. Where am I? St. Mary's. You've been in a coma for almost a year. Car accident on the bridge. A year. Do you remember your name? She asked. I nodded slowly. James. She jotted something on her clipboard. Good. You're going to be fine. When she left, I stared at the ceiling. The faint hum of the machines filled the room. It almost sounded like singing. Happy birthday to you. The heart monitor spiked. Hello? I croaked. From the corner of the room, a small light flickered. The lighter sat on the bedside table. Its engraving had changed again. Welcome home, James. The lighter's flame sputtered to life before I even touched it. Its glow painted the hospital walls in trembling orange light. The hum of the monitors began to twist into something slower, rhythmic, almost like breathing. For a long moment, I just watched it burn. Then I whispered, No. The lighter snapped shut on its own. But the hum didn't stop. It moved through the walls, down the hallway, spreading until it filled the whole ward. Nurses' footsteps vanished. Machines went quiet. Even the air stilled. And in that silence, a voice I knew better than my own said, You blew them all out, James. Now they'll follow you. I pulled the IV from my arm and swung my legs off the bed. My body ached like I'd been asleep for centuries. The floor was cold, the tiles slick with condensation. The hallway lights flickered. Every door I passed had a nameplate, but they didn't say Anderson or Lewis or Smith. Everyone read Miller. The sound of my heartbeat grew louder, though it wasn't coming from my chest. It was inside the walls, thudding in sync with the flickering lights. I found an exit sign and followed it, pushing through a heavy metal door into a stairwell. The steps stretched endlessly downward, gray concrete walls slick with moisture. A faint fog drifted at the bottom. And somewhere below, faint music played, an off-key piano. Happy birthday to you. My grip tightened on the rail. I should have turned back, screamed for help, done anything but go down. But my feet moved anyway. With every flight, the song grew louder, until I could make out voices humming along. Happy birthday, dear James. When I reached the bottom, the stairs ended in a single white door. Its surface was smooth, no handle, just a faint outline, and carved into the center, almost invisible under the fluorescent buzz, Clearwater, General Hospital, basement access, authorized personnel only. The piano stopped. I pressed my palm against the door. It was warm. "We're waiting," said the voice from the other side. The door opened without a sound. The air beyond was heavy with fog. The floor was tiled in a checkerboard pattern that seemed to ripple under my feet. The room stretched farther than it should have, vanishing into haze. Rows of tables lined the walls, each one holding a cake. 33 of them. Every one identical. White frosting, blue trim, and candles burned down to stubs. At the far end of the room stood a figure. He was wearing a hospital gown. He had my face. He smiled, tired but gentle. "You finally made it. Who are you?" "Last year's you." He gestured at the cakes. "We keep these. Every year we try to end it, and every year you wake up. This isn't real. Neither was Clearwater." He took a step closer. His eyes glowed faintly, reflecting the candlelight. "You think the crash ended anything? You were halfway across before the bridge collapsed. You never made it home. You never made it out." He placed a lighter on the nearest table, mine, old and worn. "You have to finish the wish." "What wish?" "The one you made before you blew the candles out." He smiled again, almost sad. "You wished you'd never found Clearwater. Now you have to erase it." I looked around the room. The cakes flickered, their flames bending toward me as if pulled by breath. "How?" "Light them all." My stomach turned. "There are 33. One for every year you tried to leave." The air vibrated. The hum grew until it rattled the tables. "Light them," he said again, voice cracking. "Or we start over." I took the lighter. The first flame caught easily. The smell of melting sugar filled the air. Then the second. The third. By the time I reached the 10th, the room began to shake. The fog thickened until I could barely see my hands. Every time I lit one, a voice whispered my name. "James. James. James." At the 30th cake, I stopped. My hands were shaking too hard. Behind me, the other me whispered, "Keep going." I turned. His face had begun to melt, eyes hollowing into gray sockets. "Finish it." I stumbled back, the lighter slipping from my grip. It hit the floor, the flame dying. The humming stopped. For the first time, the silence hurt. Then, softly, "You forgot the last one." The cakes went out one by one. Darkness swallowed the room, leaving only a single flame in the distance. The 33rd candle flickering weakly. I walked toward it. It sat on a cake smaller than the rest. Fresh. Untouched. The icing spelled 2 words in blue. "Welcome home." The other me was gone. I leaned over the cake, my reflection rippling in the icing. A single tear fell, hissing as it hit the candle. "I wish," I whispered. I remembered who I was before this. I blew out the flame. The floor split. I fell through blackness, weightless, soundless, until the world reassembled itself around me. A car, rain on the windshield, headlights in the fog, my own reflection in the rearview mirror, smiling faintly. "You can't outrun your birthday, James." The GPS spoke again. "Turn right onto Clearwater Avenue." And somewhere far away, faint but steady, the piano started to play. "Happy birthday to you." The windshield wipers scraped uselessly against glass thick with rain. The world beyond the headlights was nothing but water and fog. The road felt wrong beneath the tires. Too narrow, too slick, too familiar. The voice on the GPS repeated, "Turn right onto Clearwater Avenue." The map was blank. No roads, no destination. But still, I turned. The tires hit gravel. The car jolted once and then rolled smoothly forward, as though the earth itself had been waiting for me. The fog parted just enough to show the sign ahead. "Welcome to Clearwater. Population 1932, home of the kind-hearted." But there was something new carved beneath it this time. "In memory of James Miller," and below that, in smaller letters, fresh and wet as if written minutes ago, 1 year. Again. The car's engine sputtered and died. The radio came on by itself, whispering through static, "Happy birthday." I slammed my fist against the dashboard. "Stop it!" The song warped, slowing until it became a low hum. A voice, my voice, spoke through the static. "It's not a party without you." I grabbed the lighter from the seat beside me. Its silver casing glowed faintly in the dark. The engraving changed again. "Happy 34th. I stared at it, my pulse hammering. No, it can't be. But when I looked into the rearview mirror, The reflection staring back at me was older. Hair thinner, skin pale, eyes gray at the edges. "It's time to come home," he said. I stumbled out into the rain. The fog wrapped around me like a blanket, cold and heavy. In the distance, the faint glow of lights pulsed through the mist, the town square. The closer I walked, the more the ground changed beneath my feet, from gravel to pavement to cobblestone. The air smelled of frosting and smoke. And then I heard it. Laughter. Soft and wrong. When I stepped into the square, they were all there again, hundreds of them. Every version of the crowd I'd seen before, layered on top of one another, ghostly silhouettes overlapping, faces flickering between smiles and screams. At the center stood the table. The cake towered above it, easily 6 feet tall, candles burning bright blue. Betty was there, her apron spotless. The sheriff stood beside her, hat in hand. Both of them were smiling. "Welcome home, James." I shook my head. "No, not again." The sheriff's smile never faltered. "Every year you say that." He gestured to the cake. "You know what to do." The lighter in my hand clicked open. The flame burned blue this time. "Why me?" I asked. "Because you stayed," Betty said gently. "Because you looked back." Behind her, the fog shifted. Shapes moved inside it, shadows with faces, all mine. One of them stepped forward. He looked younger, happier. "You blew out the candles, remember? You made a wish. Now it's our turn." He reached out, touching the lighter. "Let us in." The crowd began to sing. "Happy birthday to you." Their voices layered, thousands of tones merging into one sound, deep, endless, vibrating through the ground. "Happy birthday to you." My vision blurred. The lighter felt heavy, almost alive in my hand. "Happy birthday, dear James." The cake's candles flickered violently, sparks spitting from their flames. "Happy birthday to you." The sheriff's eyes gleamed. Betty whispered, "Blow them out, sweetheart." I leaned toward the cake. The faces in the fog leaned with me. And just before the flames went out, I whispered, "I wish someone else had found this place first." Then I blew. The world vanished in a rush of wind and light. For a long time there was nothing. No sound, no weight, no thought. Then faintly, voices, not the ones I knew. New ones. "Hey, what's this road? GPS says it's a shortcut. Clearwater? Never heard of it. A car engine. Tires on gravel." I tried to scream, but my voice came out as static. The fog thickened. The sign appeared. "Welcome to Clearwater. Population 1932. Home of the kind-hearted." The banner beneath it was freshly painted. "Happy birthday, Daniel." The new driver laughed softly. "That's weird. My birthday's today." And somewhere in the fog, in the voice that used to be mine, I whispered, "Welcome home." The fog hung low over the hills, soft as breath, silent as snow. For a long while there was only the hum of the idling car, the faint static from the radio, and the single glow of the sign. "Welcome to Clearwater, home of the kind-hearted." The new driver, Daniel, leaned forward, squinting through the glass. "Population 1932, he murmured, reading aloud. "That's small." His girlfriend in the passenger seat laughed. "Perfect for a quiet weekend." He smiled, shifted the car into gear, and drove through the fog. They didn't notice how the road straightened itself behind them, how the trees all leaned inward, how the fog folded over like a door closing. They didn't notice that the radio, though tuned to a random frequency, was already playing a song. "Happy birthday to you." Faint. Off-key. Slower than normal, as if sung underwater. Daniel tapped the dial. The song died. Static whispered for a second before a man's voice, calm and low, cut through. "Welcome home." "Hello," he said. "Is someone there?" The voice repeated, gentle and patient. "Welcome home, Daniel." When they reached the town, every light was on. Street lamps glowed gold, shop windows shimmered, and a banner stretched across Main Street. "Happy 29th, Daniel." He stopped the car, blinking in disbelief. "That's my name," the girl frowned. "You're joking, right?" "I'm not." They got out. The air smelled faintly of frosting and candle smoke. In the square ahead, a dozen townsfolk stood waiting, smiling wide. A brass band held their instruments at their sides, motionless, as though frozen mid-song. A woman in a diner uniform stepped forward. Her name tag read, Betty. "Welcome back, birthday boy." Daniel laughed uneasily. "Okay, what is this? A prank?" Betty smiled, but her eyes glistened. "You never remember the first time, but that's all right. We're so happy you came back. I've never been here before." She reached up and brushed a bit of lint off his jacket. Her hand was cold. "Of course you have. Everyone comes home eventually." The sheriff appeared beside her, hat in hand. "Don't fight it, son. Just blow out the candles." "What candles?" He pointed behind Daniel. In the middle of the street stood a table, and on it, a cake. White frosting, blue trim, 30 candles already burning. And lying next to the cake, gleaming silver in the light, was a lighter. Engraved on its surface, "Welcome back." The fog rolled in thicker now, curling around their ankles. The crowd began to sing. "Happy birthday to you." Daniel's girlfriend grabbed his arm. "Let's go." They ran. But every street led back to the square. Every alley ended in fog. And every time they turned, the song was waiting, soft and relentless, sung by 1,000 unseen voices. "Happy birthday, dear Daniel." When the last note faded, the woman beside him whispered, "Do you smell that?" He did. Concrete, wet earth, rust, the smell of something buried. A whisper brushed Daniel's ear. He wished for someone else. He turned. Standing behind him was a man, pale, hollow-eyed, smiling faintly. James Miller. "Thank you," James said softly. "You found the road." Then he placed the lighter in Daniel's shaking hand and stepped back into the fog. The crowd clapped politely. "Go on," Betty said. "Make a wish." Daniel stared at the cake. The flame swayed toward him, eager. His girlfriend screamed for him to stop, but her voice dissolved into the mist. The lighter clicked open by itself. The flame burned blue. For a moment, Daniel thought he saw faces in the fire, hundreds of them, flickering one after another. James was there among them, smiling sadly. He leaned forward. "I wish I never took this road." He blew. The lights went out. The fog collapsed inward, silent and final. For a heartbeat, Clearwater was empty again. Then the sign at the edge of town flickered, repainting itself. "Welcome to Clearwater. Population 932, home of the kind-hearted." Below it, fresh paint dripped from a new name. "Happy birthday, Sarah." The hum returned, soft, endless, patient. Somewhere beneath the ground, candles flared to life, and from deep within the fog, a familiar voice whispered, gentle as ever, "Welcome home."